Good morning, church. Pastor Craig here with the midweek greeting. Don't you hate it when you forget things? I had this video recorded yesterday already, and I woke up this morning and realized I forgot something very important that I wanted to say. So this is take 2. Happy Thursday. You'll be a little late getting it, unfortunately. You know, I'm standing in my driveway in front of one of the vehicles that I own. We have a bit of a fleet of vehicles, it seems. I'm standing in front of my blue truck, affectionately known as the Brute. This vehicle was originally purchased by my father back in 1991. He ordered it from the factory specifically for pulling the fifth wheel. So he ordered it with the biggest of everything, biggest engine, heaviest suspension, you name it, it's got it, all the bells and whistles for towing that were available in 1991. Now, if I look over here, we see another vehicle that I have that was formerly owned by my father. That's my 95 Acura Integra. He bought that one new also. Little different story though. He actually had a station wagon that he was looking to replace, and as they were driving to the dealership to buy another station wagon, my mother looked at him, so I'm told the story goes anyways, and said, you know, if you ever want to own another sports car, now would be the time. That was all the encouragement he needed. He promptly pulled a U-turn and went straight to the Acura dealership and bought this little vehicle. The difference between the two, the truck may have been ordered with the biggest of everything. I think the Acura came with the smallest of everything. Tiny little engine, tiny little suspension, tiny little tires, you name it, it's small on this car. You might wonder, so which one's better? Well, I would have to ask the question, what do you want the vehicle for? If you want a vehicle for pulling, then it's the truck. Imagine what would happen if you took the fifth wheel and tried to hook it onto the Acura. I can't even picture what that would look like, and even if I could figure out how to hook up a fifth wheel to my Acura Integra, my hunch is it would not even turn a wheel. It probably would crush the suspension, if not the whole car. They're different. They serve different purposes. And they're both great. You know, it reminds me of a passage in Romans chapter 12, where we read, just a second, got to take off the sunglasses in order to be able to read. For by the grace given me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment, in accordance with the faith God has distributed to each of you. For just as each of us has one body with many members, and the members do not all have the same function, so in Christ we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given each of us. If your gift is prophesying, then prophesy in accordance with your faith. If it is serving, then serve. If it is teaching, then teach. If it is to encourage, then give encouragement. If it is giving, then give generously. If it is to lead, do it diligently. If it is to show mercy, do it cheerfully. You know, this passage reminds me both of the local church and of the church universal. The church is made up of many different parts and many different people, and each of us have different gifts, and that's the way God has created us. And so in the same way that my fleet of vehicles contains a couple of vehicles that are very different, it's not a question of which one's better, it's which one serves what purpose. And you know, when I think of the church universal, sometimes people will ask, why are there so many churches in our community? Well, perhaps it's because each one is a little different. Not necessarily better, just different, and perhaps serving a little different purpose. Where our church may be gifted in some areas, other churches may be gifted in others. And when I look at the individual church and look at our church family, I see that that's definitely true. We have many different people, gifted in different areas, and that's what makes the church strong, is our differences, the fact that together we form the body as Christ wants us to do. I want to encourage you, use your gifts. I want to ask you, what are your gifts? Have you ever considered what is the part that you play in the church? As I say with the vehicles, it's not a question of which one's right or better. It's what's the purpose. And that's one of the cool things about being part of the church, is that God brings us together as people from all different backgrounds, with all different personalities, with all different giftingness, and draws us together as a church. And when we look at the universal church, that's what truly gives us strength, is that we are different. Different church families gathering in different buildings with different strengths, but together, we are the church. This week, I would once again encourage us. Let's go out and be the church that God has called us to be. As I think of our church family, I think of the fact that there are some who are hurting this week. I think specifically of the Pies and the Ursu family. My condolences go out to them as they grieve the loss of loved one. Let's minister encouragement to them. Let's use our gifts to reach out to them. Let's use our gifts to reach out to one another. Let's use our gifts to be the church God has called us to be. Have a great week, church. Look forward to chatting again.